Interestingly enough, one of our commentators for this weekend is also a competitor, and a competitor in the cars we're about to see go out on track. Welcome, Tom Reed, who we see as part of the commentary team for the Trico Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, and also for the also for the Winton Festival Speed. Welcome, Tom. Tell us about the track, mate. You've been out there in the regularity.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, it's wet. Very, very wet. Lots of standing water, a river between turn 1 and 2, and standing water all around the curb. So it'll be pretty tricky for all 20 drivers out there. We won't have Nick McBride, unfortunately. He was set to start off P2, but had a prior commitment that he made him unable to attend. So we'll see him tomorrow come off the rear grid. Evan Farrell also off the rear grid. He had a battery
I do hope that you approached Nick and said, I've got my driving suit. I can. I'm about the same height as you, mate. I can slot in.
Not quite, no. I didn't realise he was not going to take part in this race until I got to the dummy grid and his car wasn't there. But unfortunately, that'll mean he has to come from the back tomorrow, which he's very capable of doing.
Certainly, if any Winton Festival of Speed Formula Ford races was anything to go by, that statement is very, very true indeed. Cars are on track. Just give us a bit of a look through this field, Tom.
Yes, so off pole is Alex Davison in his dad's RF89 Van Diemen, his dad being Richard Davison. Alongside him, well, he will be on the second row, is Jack Clifford in car number 33. Then we go to Declan Food, Jared Hurst, Tabitha Ambrose in car 63 there, the Blanchard-owned white RF86 Van Diemen. Then we go to Will Faulkner, Andrew McGuinness in the ex-Russell Ingall 89 Van Diemen, Grant Walker in the only FB84 Swift. And then moving back through, we've got the South Australian of Sean Turnbull doing a great job there. He will line off of P10, Koutsamides behind him. Marinon sharing a row there with Koutsamides, and we go to Jacob Wingett, who also is a fellow regularity competitor and has done a fair few laps this weekend. Eric Bellamy, and then Andrew Barron, Luke Warwick, Craig Degatati, Greg Miles, Warwick Folletta, Ben Rawson and Evan Farrell will come off rear grid there.
Really healthy field of Formula Fords, 22 cars out there, and certainly representing across those eras, FA, FCFD, etc. For those boffins at home that like to allocate the cars in their correct categories. But certainly very, very interesting to see the Davison name across a couple of these cars. Of course, Alex, famously international professional driver, driven for works teams like Porsche. So not surprised to see Alex in the Van Diemen sitting in position number 1. The RF89, a very, very nice car indeed, and that's been shared with a number of others, Dean Koutsamides and of course Andrew McGuinness. And this is something quite interesting. Andrew McGuinness in car number 2, position number 8. I reckon that's probably one of Andrew's not best qualifying down there in that these tricky conditions. Obviously he's an exceptional racer, has got a number of magnificent racing cars in his shed, comes from a magnificent pedigree as well. But I'm going to keep an eye on car number 2 to see how he can push through the field.
Yeah, hopefully he will be able to charge through the field. Very experienced, like you said. A big point here at the start of this race will be how they get these cars off the line. Some will elect to start in first gear, some even starting in second gear with a really low amount of reps. It's like driving off the line at Dandenong Road.
Just going down the shops to pick up a loaf of bread or a litre of milk. So the front row of the grid will have Davison on it, not for the first time here at the home of horsepower. Have we got a Davison on the front row of the grid? Great to see Alex back in having some racing there as well. This car certainly the pride of joy within the racing family that is the Davisons. Of course, Tom just touched on his father, Richard, multiple in recent times Victorian Kent Engine Formula Ford champion, and should be respected, but doing a great job there. I'm going to keep an eye on that car number 2. Tabitha Ambrose in the number 63, which is on row 3. So yes, that is the daughter of multiple Australian Touring Car champion and Australian Formula Ford champion Marcus Ambrose, as they get away very, very nicely indeed. Jack Clifford, what an absolute ripper. He has just rolled it off row 2, just like Tom Reed said. Just get the car moving. Once you've got it moving, grab a cog and get on with it.
Tabitha Ambrose had a great first conversion there, but something happened and she couldn't get to second or third gear across the gate, and it bogged down massively. But a great start there from Clifford, who's just behind your race leader. Look at Will Faulkner there, already in the yellow car up to P number 3. He was having a massive moment through turn 1, and there goes Tabitha, dropped a heap of spots back through the field. She's battling with Grant Walker and Koutsamides, who goes for a spin. And everyone seems to be able to get through cleanly through the river there on the exit of turn 1. Hopefully Dean's car isn't bogged and we can continue on with racing as he just gets out.
Well done. Perfect, Dean. Great to see that. Gets himself back up and running there in the Van Diemen RF89. Great to see Sean Turnbull. As much as Tabitha went backwards, Sean went forwards in his number 66. So we'll see where Sean turns out. That's the RF86, one of my my favourites of the Ralph Furman range of Van Diemens. But they look very, very well indeed. Gee, that's some tough vision.
Incredibly, it's tough. If you've got a visor that's not non-anti-fog, it'll be incredibly hard to see there, as Will Faulkner, I think, may have dropped back to P5 here of Jared Hurst and Declan Fu going through on him.
There's McGuinness too. He's made up a couple of spots as well. So Andrew's flicked the visor down and gone, I have to make up some time.
Ambrose up the inside there. I think of Sean Turnbull getting that move done at Dandenong Road. Yes, got that move done, so moves herself back up a few spots here. Now Jared Hurst trying to latch back onto Declan Fu. Just look how slow and sideways they are out of the last corner. There is absolutely no grip there.
Coming across the line for the first time, Davison to Clifford. And we've got Declan Fu. So 1, 2 and 3, that's pretty much how they started, but it was 1, 3 and 4 because Nick McBride not taking his spot on the grid. Faulkner, Andrew McGuinness, he started out of 8th and has gone up into 6th. So slowly and steadily he'll start to try and tick those boxes there. The 95 now just gingerly getting through turn number 1.
Jared Hurst with a huge moment. Sorry, Darren, to cut you off, but a huge slide out of line.
I see why.
And yeah, Will Faulkner had eyes full of a red car in front of him. But through turn 4, again, an incredibly slippery part of the track here. Sandown is a very slippery track in the wet, probably the worst in Australia, I've been told. Through the kink, you've got to be a little ginger on the throttle through here, as there is a river that runs just across it after the exit. McGuinness through on shot there, but I think there could be a move coming from either Will Faulkner or Jared Hurst. They're side by side up the top, and Will just backs out of that one.
Line astern with each other across the top of the famous hill here at Sandown. Up on the ripple strips for the 42, so Jared Hurst is absolutely on it, taking some of those 1% chances. I'm not sure, Tom, when you were out there in the regularity, if you got a chance to get a bit of wheel spin on any of the ripple strips or not. Yeah, pretty slippery.
It was good fun. I actually enjoyed myself a lot getting the car sideways through a couple of corners, but nothing too risky, of course.
Well, it's not your car, mate. You've got to bring it back all in one piece, don't you? Which you've done a tremendous job of over the last couple of events. I've got to say, the Acuri Australia team have, with their junior program, selected one of the good ones, and that's you, Tom.
Thanks, Darren. That's nice of you to say. Across the line we go, though, and we are starting our second lap. The best lap there set by Alex Davison. First lap in real anger of a 1 minute 40.2. He's well and truly clear of everyone else. Jack Clifford 3 seconds behind him. A move here from Will Faulkner. No, still thinks better about it, but the lap previous, car 42 on shot, had a huge moment out of turn 1, and he seems to have corrected that mistake up the short run to turn 2 where the river runs across, and there's a heaps of standing water. So I think Faulkner may have gone off, but I think he's kept it on just. Have a look at the spray. His suit will be drenched after this.
You know, it's still got to be a month or two before you put the sprinkler on in the front yard and run through it to keep warm, isn't it? He's just done a bit of a Melbourne in late January, sprinkled himself through that puddle there, but great catch there by Will Faulkner. He had to have a bit of a look, and he's going to have to keep having a little bit of a look at Jared Hurst to try and grab that spot back, because we're talking about 4th in this one. At the moment, it is Alex Davison who's got away. He's got a good 6.5 second lead over Jack Clifford, who started out of position number 3. Then it's a good 3 seconds back to Declan Fu, and then we go back to this battle. And I've got to say, at the moment, Will Faulkner is getting a face full of spray. He's getting buckets of water come over the side pods through the radiators into his lap at the moment, but not really making any mistakes. You know, there's a couple of little indiscretions here and there, a little bit of a movement there with the water that sort of comes across the track there, but at the moment he is absolutely working very hard, is Will Faulkner.
I was just about to comment on the different lines out of the last corner. It's evident there with Will Faulkner, who chose to sort of run the go-kart line around the outside where there's less slimy, less rubber down, so more grip on that more abrasive surface, and hopefully he can get this move down into turn one. Just behind these guys is the battle between Ambrose and Evan Farrell, who's made his way all the way up to position number 8, starting off the rear of the grid in just 3 racing laps.
Well, he gets through the 95. Will Faulkner, he kept showing the nose this lap. 1 lap ago was where he went right on 42 of Jared Hurst, cracks it sideways. They're both suffering from the same bit of understeer at that corner. Although last lap around the 95 emptied that puddle all into his own lap, but not sure what, didn't see that yellow flag.
Yellow car off in the background, can't quite pick out who that is. There are a few yellow cars in the field. Maybe one of the 86 Van Diemen's further back on, but this battle is still fierce between Jared Hurst and Will Faulkner. Up the back straight they go. Who's going to be the bravest over the top? It's a very risky move to pull off in the dry, let alone the wet, and Hurst goes sailing around the outside and gets that move done for now, as Faulkner has to cut across the new runoff area there down the in the S's.
Phil Marinon has gone to the pits now as well, so the category administrator heads pit bound, and he'll take the Galloway back into the pit and paddock area. But this is the absolute battle of the race here at the moment. Number of position changes for 4th for these two, Faulkner and Hurst. At the moment it is the 42 of Hurst leading the way, and the 95 just leaving black marks on the ripple strips out there. Worked for him 2 laps ago, got a great run onto the straight, but I'm going to say that's just going to hand an extra sort of quarter of a second to Jared as they come up the straight here. There is Fu in the number 88 car with the red stripe over the black-bodied car, and continues on up through there in the number 88 Van Diemen RF 88. I see what he's done there, the RF88, number 88. Whoa! Getting very loose under foot there, and in fact it's so good with this coverage that we're getting out of the Victorian Historic Racing Register Equity One broadcast here today. Just seeing these drivers and their hands just ease up. Sometimes the little snap up, but a lot of the time it's just a simple fluid wheel input.
You don't want to be too rigid with your movements in these conditions, as it can send you off, especially if you lock a rear brake. And down the hill where these guys are about to come up to is probably one of the biggest risk-taking areas of the circuit. I saw further back in the shot there's, wow, a massive moment for Will Faulkner. I don't know how he saved that. It's still not done yet because he's got to gather it up down the S's here, but luckily he's got that extra runoff area.
Wow,
that was a huge moment.
Last lap around, he was pretty excited off to the driver's right there as well, but that one started 150 metres before he turned left at the top of the hill. Massive catch there. That is some awesome wheel work. Well done to Will Faulkner. Let's see if he can just gather it all up. Still 2.5 minutes plus a lap left in this one, so he's plenty of time to get the mind back on it, doesn't he? He's not dwelling in the past, is he? He's certainly getting on with it.
I reckon he's having a lot of fun out there in these conditions, sliding the car around. Back on shot here, a couple of the back markers, car 35 of Warwick Folletta and Andrew Barron there just behind. He's come back for his first race meeting in a number of years there.
This Warwick Folletta car is an interesting one as well. That's a Van Diemen VD77, a different iteration on the Van Diemen outfit. And he's just run wide there and pushing through the 33, which is our current second car in this race. So putting a lap down as they just get out of that slippery turn 4, and up we go. Have a look at that spray. That static camera right trackside there is giving us some decent old shots. Here comes car number 2 on the road. This is Jack Clifford. And there goes our race leader, and that is Alex Davison. Where's Alex? Coming out of Dandenong Road there as well in the all black
Wow.
Van Diemen.
He's lapped all the way up to position number 13. So driving through the field and some here as he comes around the final corner. Just look how straight and composed this car is. Easy throttle inputs, easy steering inputs, and he's just driving away from the rest of the field. This time by, well, last time by, he had a 13.5 second gap, and we're still waiting to see a second place runner of Jack Clifford come out of the final corner. He pops onto shot just then, and we'll cross the timing line sideways, and that gap is out to 15 seconds. So another 2 seconds gain there by Alex Davison, who's cruising to a race victory. Just got to get by a couple of lap cars here of Sean Turnbull and Eric Bellamy, which may prove a little difficult for him. Eric hopping out of the road nicely there. Next will be Sean Turnbull, and then he'll have a clear track to the finish line.
As a pro would do, just shows the nose, fully intention to have a go at the next corner there. That is the difference between a race leader and a top 20 finisher. Phil Marinon definitely out now, back in the pits as well. Just having a bit of a quick look down. Tabitha Ambrose into 7. She went down to 9th, so she's had a couple of manoeuvres. Andrew McGuinness, as we suggested, started out of 8th, has made his way to 6th. So as far as the Victorian Historic Racing Register Formula Ford Championships are concerned, he does need to start to push very, very hard in that, because whilst Nick McBride's not here, and Nick had an amazing Winton Festival of Speed as far as results were concerned, Andrew McGuinness really does need to consolidate in the FC class of Formula Fords.
Just a thumbs up there from fellow teammate, not Richard Davison, Alex Davison, to Luke Warwick in the beautifully prepared Ellery Motorsport Swift. But here he comes out of the final corner. The race 1 victory goes to...
last lap. We're going on here.
Sorry.
Last
got a
lap.
bit ahead of myself.
Last lap.
He's done such a good job.
He has done
already.
Wrapping him up, give him a Christmas present.
I hope I don't put the curse on him on this last lap. He looks incredibly
I think he's doing
smooth.
all right. Yeah. He doesn't. You don't get picked by the guys at Weizach to drive Porsches around the world for no reason. A very particular supercar career as well. A very valued co-driver over many, many years has been Alex Davison, and a very, very safe set of hands in Richard's car. And I believe this car was actually a bit of a stealth restoration and gifted to Richard with Ellery Motorsport. No, not this one.
Different car. That was his original Hawk, I believe, that was given to Richard Davison. He had no idea about it, turned up to a test day at Phillip Island, and it was unveiled to him, and he couldn't believe the effort and the presentation of the car.
So, of course, this is the Van Diemen, and we are on our last lap. This is our race leader. Very, very healthy lead, charging through the mist.
Acknowledging the yellow flags there over the top, so perhaps a car spun or stopped somewhere in this part of the circuit. So he backs off nicely, runs the curb down Dandenong Road through the S's, turns left here, and the green flags were waving there, so it's free to race and pass any lap cars, but there's nothing in front of him.
Something for a young driver like yourself, Tom. Have you noticed his car placement on track this last lap? We've watched him. He's just been driving all but down the middle of the road. The only ripple strip he hit was that run down into Dandenong Road, but he's just keeping himself very, very nicely. If the road has a crown, he's sitting in the middle of the road, and this is the difference. This is a guy that has made his living out of doing this sort of thing, and he takes race 1 for the weekend and the Equity 1 Formula Ford race. And just saying Equity 1, where is Dean Koutsamidis? He is 13th. Dean started out of 11th, so he's gone back a couple of spots there. But congratulations to Alex Davison.
Second will be Jack Clifford, and he's a further 19.5 seconds off your race winner, Alex Davison, who just dominated that race. Coming across the line in the background there is Declan Fu, passing a lap car, so well done to him, finishing in position number 3 in car 88. And then we move further back through the field. Here comes Jared Hurst to take P4. Shortly behind him will be Will Faulkner if he's kept it on the road in the yellow car. There he comes through shot. Then back to Andrew McGuinness in car 2, who will be hoping maybe for some dry conditions tomorrow to drive through to a podium spot potentially. Just waiting for him to come back through the top of screen there, and there comes car number 2, the 89 Van Diemen of Andrew McGuinness. Just behind him is Tabitha Ambrose in her debut race in the historic Formula Ford class. That is a John Blanchard-owned RF86 Van Diemen. Adam Macro is here this weekend, swinging spanners on that car and making sure it is as fast as it can be. Just waiting for a few more cars that still on the lead lap. Evan Farrell and Grant Walker coming through the shot now, and a drag race to the line, but give it to Evan Farrell. He gets position number 8 and 9, goes to Grant Walker. Rounding out the top 10 is Luke Warwick in that Swift. So I think that's about it for Formula Ford. Not too many cars to cross the line. Mostly lap cars. Ben Rawson coming home in P17. Jacob Wingett in 18th. Phil Marinon, like you said, a DNF in the pit lane. And we've got a replay coming up here of a fairly ballsy move over the top, up the back straight. Just
interesting to see all these cars getting through. There's only really a couple of little indiscretions there. Very, very tricky conditions.
Moment. I hope he's got a bit of room down the back end of his seat there, because he might have fielded, I reckon.
I reckon. Good stuff there by both Will Faulkner and Jared Hurst for that race. Massively entertaining. Tom Reed, thank you very much for all your expert comments, mate. You're not back on track until tomorrow morning at 9:10 for the regularity, and Formula Fords are back on track at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Welcome back trackside here. We sit just underneath the Penrite Oil sign at the bottom of the straight here at Sandown, the home of horsepower. And I tell you what, we're about to see some horsepower, but we're also going to see skills at a very, very high level in these Formula Fords. I don't care whether it's the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships or the National Formula Ford over the very long 55-year history. These cars are always awesome to watch race, and it doesn't matter what the conditions are, because yesterday we saw Alex Davison give us an absolute masterclass in how to drive a Formula Ford, I'm going to say an open wheeler, around Sandown in the wet. I'm Darren Smith. I've been joined by Tom Reed, who has actually just taken the driving suit off and put the Acura Australia Young Development uniform on. Tom, welcome to commentary, mate. You were the first car to get out and get a bit of dry track this weekend.
Certainly was. Good morning, Darren. Good morning, everyone at home and at the track. Yeah, we were first out for regularity this morning on a pretty greasy track. Lots of standing water, but I'm sure these guys on this sighting lap will be able to navigate that and focus on the race at hand. A lot of standing water, especially between the last two corners, which makes the run onto the straight pretty critical.
Yeah, it looked pretty sketchy down there with that water coming across, and we've just seen a couple of their Group S cars have a bit of an indiscretion once they got through there as well. So this race lines up very, very nicely indeed. Alex Davison will sit on pole, and I'm going to say one of your contemporaries in position number 2, Tom, Jack Clifford in the number 33, doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, fellow junior, VHRR junior, off of P number 2, so doing a great job this weekend. He'll hopefully have a nice race-long battle with Alex Davison. Declan Fu, another junior behind him, and then Jared Hurst on the second row. Will Faulkner, who we saw have that huge moment over the top in yesterday's race, he was able to save that. Then we go to Andrew McGuinness, the experienced racer like you touched on yesterday. Tabitha Ambrose, who's had a lot of seat time this year, comes off of P7. Evan Farrell, another young bloke doing really well in the first of the FA cars, off of P8. Grant Walker, Luke Warwick rounding out the top 10. Then we move to Sean Turnbull, the New South Welshman. Eric Bellamy, Dean Koutsamides, our own Equity One man. Craig Degatati, Warwick Folletta, Andrew Barron, Ben Rawson, Jacob Wingett, Phil Marinon, Greg Miles. And off the back of the grid, watch for car number 4, the all-white car of Nick McBride, who will no doubt storm through the field today.
He had a ripping Winton Festival of Speed, didn't he? Absolutely brained them at Winton, and had to attend to family matters yesterday, as we all do at some point in time. But I think for Nick himself, he's going to relish this challenge because the field won't just open up in front of him. They're all racing for this, and if one of the guys that's leading the series is coming from the back there, I guess their job is to slow him down.
Yeah, for sure. No Eric Bellamy on the starting grid, set to start out of P number 8. So I did see a car missing on the dummy grid, and that just confirms that it is Evan Farrell, sorry. He had a battery go wrong yesterday, but we've got the 5-second board out, the revs rise. Clifford and Davison, your front row, set for a start. And it's lights out and away we go. Very even start from the front row. They'll drag race all the way down into turn 1. McBride already making up 2 spots, 3 spots in the background, but it's even as we go down to turn 1 under the Penrite Bridge. Clifford on driver's left, Davison on driver's right of your screen. Jared Hurst going for a big move on McGuinness, gets into P number 3, but it'll be Alex Davison who takes the race lead.
Andrew McGuinness in the number 2 there, getting a little bit of a meat in the sandwich situation happening there. Nick McBride charging through. He's got about 4 or 5, 6 in fact going into turn 1. Alex Davison, this is not what Jack Clifford wanted to be looking at the rear of in his Reynard. Of course, we've got the Van Diemen versus the Reynard out there as well, and Reynard the 87F, so both from an exact same era of Formula Ford chassis manufacturing. Pulls out from that spray that he got off the back of the Davison car and getting a nice tow. It'll be side by side. Alex won't be backing out of this, so Clifford sweeps around the outside. That was a massive move in the 43 there. The Reynard just getting through on the Van Diemen. What a ripping move there. Jack Clifford not letting Alex get away with anything. His first opportunity streamed around the outside. Brave move, Tom.
Bane Clifford doing exactly what he needs to do through the really tricky last corner. He has a moment, so does Davison, and they go sideways out of the final corner. Big battle here for 3rd, 4th, 5th between Fu, McGuinness and Jared Hurst. McBride already making his way up through the field. You can see him about to join the shot there right behind Tabitha Ambrose, who's dropped a few spots on the opening lap. But have a look at McGuinness here. He goes through to P3. Declan Fu is going to try and follow him through, but no, Jared Hurst is able to hold tough around the outside. And they go through the puddles and the rivers here. McGuinness covering on the inside, defending as he should, and not letting Jared Hurst get any sniff of an overtake there.
That is an experienced head in car number 2. He just saw that send down the inside. It wasn't going to happen because of the puddle down there, but he just covered it off as Andrew McGuinness climbs the hill here at Sandown. Looks quite big when you're sitting down low in one of these Formula Fords to climb up this hill. And that is what they are doing. Jack Clifford now in the 33, doing a brilliant job. Alex Davison, I would suggest, will be enjoying this. Have a look at the 88 now, storming up the inside. Declan Fu grabbing that one spot back.
McGuinness with a huge moment down the S's there, going into Dandy Road. He gets it pulled up nicely, though, and it is Declan Fu behind him. Look for... car number 4 in the back of the shot there has got past Tabitha Ambrose, so Nick McBride making his way through the field in a hurry. Just a note on Jack Clifford, and McGuinness has a massive moment again through the final corner. I reckon we're going to see this all race long, but Clifford was able to hold the lead for a full lap, and Davison wasn't able to really gain any advantage on him.
Yeah, Nick McBride charging there, and the likes of Andrew McGuinness are like, we've got to hurry up here, guys. We can't hold on. Our race is actually with Nick McBride that's charging at us, not with each other right now. We've got plenty of time. We've got well over 8 minutes still left in this race, so getting on with the job in front of us and making sure that we can just try and manage that gap as Nick starts to charge through to the front of the field here. Have a look at Alex Davison. He's starting to circle there as well. It's almost like there's blood in the water.
I think he's close enough here by the time they maybe get to the top of the hill.
This is classic Formula Ford. Jump in for the slipstream. And see Alex's awareness of the track there. He jumped out from behind Jack there because he knew the puddle was there. Didn't want that spray in his face. And the number 3 looks to the inside.
Slingshot, and he gets that move done over the top. Now he's got to wrestle these curbs and pull it up into Dandy Road as they go over the puddles. But change for the race lead. Alex Davison takes back what he earned yesterday.
That little patch of water coming off the big runoff
So
area
sketchy.
there. Yeah, isn't it? They just hit it and just see the car just move a little bit. This is the other bit of track here. We can't actually see the water on track, but everyone's coming onto the straight with a bit of understeer about them as well. So just trying to use that, manage that bit of understeer, and at least the ripple strips are dry today, so you can have an extra metre or so off the back of the hard stand that they put there a number of years ago. Nick McBride watch last time round, P10. There he is, just 3 white cars in a row, and he's the one off the back there in the Van Diemen.
In the Swift there, back in car number 4, you're right. There's a lot of Van Diemen's in the field, so easy to get them mixed up. But Clifford behind here in P2, change for the final podium spot as McGuinness gets shuffled back to 4th, and car 88 of Declan Fu goes through on him. The Penrite Junior using all of the track there, but touching on those last couple of corners, there is just no way to avoid that water as the river runs across in 2 or 3 streams, and it just really unsettles the car. Makes the tyres really cold as you go through the final corner. Here we go for the race lead. Clifford with a massive slingshot, and he is almost cleared. Car number 3 of Alex Davison, but can't hang tough around the outside over the sketchy bits here, down into the S's. Getting it pulled up for Danny Road, turn number 9, and Clifford will be setting his sights on your race leader down the front straight.
I like the way Alex set that up. He set the snake so that he would push him wide there, and he had him absolutely covered off. You got me on the opening lap, but I'll set that up exiting turn 4 so that you're off position and we get to the top of the hill. So these are things that the young drivers need to be aware of, and the likes of Alex Davison, that'll be just natural intuition for him to hold that and send this kind of smoke screen that we're seeing now. He'll pull to the middle of the track, open it up, and the young Jack Clifford looks to the inside and has a look at that, sweeps through very nicely, puts him wide. And Alex Davison again, he'll be managing that. He'll want to sit behind and just watch what Jack Clifford's doing. And Jack, like a young bloke, will be just like, I just want to have some clean air. I want to see the track and get on with this and hopefully establish some sort of lead. Let's see if he runs through that puddle again and gives Alex a good spray.
I think he will. There we go.
There it is. Alex has got the face full of it.
But Alex has tucked right into the back of the Reynard.
Look at Jack looking in the mirrors.
But I think they're going to run side by side all the way to the top of the hill. And Clifford backs out of that. Davison goes sailing round at the outside. And I think this is a critical point in the race. If you can take the lead over the top on the final lap of the race after towing by, I think you might set yourself up for a race win if they keep battling. Clifford just losing a couple of car lengths there to Davison, so he can't afford any more mistakes, especially through this area. Watch the placement of the cars. Little bit of understeer from car 3, same for 33, so it's fairly even this gap as they cross the line with 4 minutes to go. Alex Davison doing a 1 minute 22.1, the fastest lap of the race. Clifford with the 22.7, and further back in the field, an update on Nick McBride. He's made his way up to position number 6, his fastest lap of a 22.4, so not far off the time of your race leader. Big battle here for P number 3, the final spot on the podium. Fu swings to the inside, can't get it pulled up in time, and McGuinness goes around the outside, holding on to position number 3. In the background here, Jared Hurst under massive pressure from Nick McBride, who's going to send it up the inside, but just backs out at the final moment. He'll be setting his run up maybe into turn 4. No, he'll do it up the back straight.
Vastly experienced Nick McBride, spent a long time in Carrera Cup, which is one of the feistiest versions of motorsport around the world, let alone here in Australia. It is an absolute massive proving ground around the outside. Through the puddle that time goes Jack Clifford, just a little bit too wide there and grabbing that wet part of the track there as we get a good look down the inside of the 33. Power down underneath the Penrite Oils Bridge. And we go back to turn 1 now, and just a couple of the tail end cars here as we get a look back up to Alex Davison leading the way here in car number 3. And what a battle at the front. The next couple of cars on the road, McGuinness, Fu, Hurst and McBride. I think Jared Hurst, this is a good tutorial for Jared. In fact, this is a good tutorial for Jack Clifford as well. There's nothing wrong with having experienced racers around you. They've got years and years of ability and racecraft, and that just comes with time. There's certainly brave stuff we're seeing now with the 88 Declan Fu to the inside of McGuinness. McGuinness sensibly just opens up the wheel, and he has got a side mirror full of Nick McBride. Well done, car 2. Nick McBride just not getting the invitation through there, and this is exactly what Andrew McGuinness was expecting. Yep.
McBride wary to McGuinness's move there, and he thinks better of it. And now he set his run up the back straight. Justin shot there. I think that was Clifford going for a move for the race lead, but we'll stick with these guys for 3rd, 4th and 5th. And Nick McBride, of course, starting off the back of the grid and charging his way forward through this race.
Andrew McGuinness just breaking the toe there momentarily, so not dragging Nick McBride any further up to the inside as well. Down the inside looks McBride, pulls it off. McGuinness just tucks in behind there and says, righto, you've got the big charge on. Let's see how we go for the next minute and a half before the checkered flag, or about 2.5 minutes before the checkered flag appears here. So a couple of I'm going to say veterans, but they're definitely very experienced racers, both those two guys there on track. Alex Davison now, they're just sneaking on through. Was that Ben Rawson?
Yeah.
Off the back of the, coming through there on one of the back markers, so they're starting to lap the field here at the moment. Alex Davison just looks so poised there in the car. We got this run down to Dandenong Road there
Textbook
on the Equity
move.
1 replay. Nick McBride puts it to the inside here, and Andrew McGuinness certainly saw it coming, opened up the wheel and said there's no point banging wheels at this point in time. I'll see you on the main straight and we'll go again.
Here we go over the top for one of the last times, and Clifford reclaims the race lead through the puddles. He's done a 21.7 last time round, so these two trading fastest lap. McBride is 13 seconds behind in position number 4, just off the back of Declan Fu. So these two have skipped away to a very handy race lead.
I do like the head check from Jack Clifford, that Iridian lens on his helmet. You see it reflect as he looks over. He's not trusting in the mirrors at all. He's doing a good head check just to make sure he can see where Alex Davison is, and wise choice to do so. Sometimes drivers just ignore the mirrors, and that's where we end up having wheel-to-wheel contact, but he is definitely having a look here. Wait for it again.
Davison backs out. I think that's a tactical move there. I'm not sure if we got the last lap board that time round. Just having a look out the window.
I think we get the last lap board next time round.
Yeah. So maybe Davison he's going to bide his time a bit here and make a move on the final lap.
Good pickup, Tom. You got a good career ahead of you as a race driver, mate, with that sort of awareness. Oh no, don't give up on the driving thing yet.
Green flags waving there, so perhaps a car stopped on the run between turn 4 and the kink at 5. Not really a corner in any car these days. But up the back straight, Clifford doing the head check like you're saying, weaving left to right, breaking the toe from car number 3, the Van Diemen behind, owned by his father, Richard Davison, driven by Alex Davison. They send it over the curbs. Here goes Alex for a move, pops down the inside, textbook move, very similar to Nick McBride, the move he pulled on Andrew McGuinness a couple of laps ago. And let's see if Clifford can hang close to the back of the Van Diemen through the final couple of the corners. Watch the line from either of these two. Clifford runs a little wider, hopefully to get a slingshot onto the front straight, but he's let that gap extend a little bit.
The checkered flag.
Oh, wow.
It has come. So, yes, they obviously the last lap board went out. We missed that. But what a run to the end here. There it is. Alex Davison knew it was the last lap, and that was the opportunity. You spotted it, Tom, a lap and a half out. And that is the result right there. So a good 14 and a half seconds back to Nick McBride. But what that does is it puts Nick McBride on the second row of the grid for the final race for the weekend. What a drive in car number 4, the Swift there from the rear of this field. 23 cars, and he drove up to 3rd position. Andrew McGuinness will sit right beside him for the start of the final race for the Formula Fords and the Equity 1 Formula Fords. Let's have a look where, well, about 7th place there for Dean Koutsamidis. That's a massive jump. Started out of 13th, the man with Equity 1 on the side of his car. So that's a good run there as well.
Another shout out to car number 8 on shot here of Luke Warwick, making his way to position number 10. That's where he started, and I think he'll be pretty happy with that effort.
Certainly holding on. That's what it's all about. Jared Hurst home in 5th.
Evan Farrell there just on shot, so he did make it out. So he must have started off the rear grid there, scheduled to start out of P8. So another drive through the field, the leading FA car in the standings. Warwick Folletta here through the final corner for his final time, and a car pulling into the pits there, one of the new RF86 Van Diemens, I think of Greg Miles.
A new RF86.
A new owner, sorry. New
owner.
car to the track.
Yeah, I gotcha. Just going to pick you up on these things.
They're only 40 years old.
That's right. They're young. Tom, thank you very much, mate. Fantastic to have your enthusiasm and insight. Being the first car that ventured out on track, and you were the trailblazer. Any of the other Formula Ford competitors make their way over to you to say, hey, mate, give us the inside running?
Plenty in the Ellery Motorsport garage,
Yes.
and I'm sure they would have all figured it out on the form-up lap anyway.
Fantastic. That is Formula Ford for race number 2 for the weekend. And they have got their final race for this weekend at 2:35 in this afternoon. Up next is the Group JKLB Formula V and invited cars. We'll have those cars on track in just a few moments. Don't forget, March this year, March 13 and 15. Sorry, Tom?
Declan Fu that was the cause of the yellow flag that I noticed. So he has unfortunately DNF'd after running P4 for the majority of the race. So that's unfortunate to see from Declan.
Plenty of racing still to go here at the 33rd Historic Sandown, presented by the Victorian Historic Racing Register. Of course, we were celebrating 100 years of Ford in Australia, and we had that great Ford All affair for the closed vehicles, and there is no other way of putting it. This is an all Ford affair as well, aptly named Formula Ford. I'm Darren Smith, and a guy that's been motoring around in a Formula Ford in regularity and doing a very good job of it. He's the Acuri Australia Junior Development Racer, Tom Reed. Tom, welcome to commentary. Tell us all about a nice dry Sandown in a Formula Ford in the last regularity run.
Thanks, Darren. Good afternoon, everyone at home and on the broadcast. Finally nice to have a dry track at Sandown, albeit that river between the last two corners is still there and won't go away for the rest of the day, we assume. But now we turn our attention to, like you said, an all-Ford affair. Formula Ford this time, 21 cars taking to the grid. Nick McBride made his way from last to P3, so be looking forward to a top three battle between he, Jack Clifford and Alexander Davison, who has gone 2 from 2 so far, pulled a move on the final lap into Dandy Road turn 9 to take the race win away from Jack Clifford. You can see them furiously warming their tyres up the back straight, and I'll quickly take you through the starting grid. We have Alex Davison off pole, like I said, 2 from 2. Jack Clifford next to him, Nick McBride, who stormed through the field in this morning's race, Jared Hurst alongside him, Will Faulkner, Dean Koutsamides, McGuinness off of P7 in car 2, Grant Walker, the first of the over 70s, as he likes to call it, off of P8, Tabitha Ambrose off of 9th. She's had dramas getting to second gear, so watch for her maybe to bog down at the start, but get going as the race progresses on. Then we've got Luke Warwick in one of the LRE Motorsport Swifts, Evan Farrell, Eric Bellamy, Phil Marinon, the category administrator, Sean Turnbull from New South Wales, Craig Degatati, Warwick Folletta. Then we go to Chris O'Connor, Ben Rawson, Declan Fu, I think will be off the rear of the grid, Greg Miles and Andrew Barron.
Just looking back on a bit of form from this event last year, John Miles beat Jack Clifford in race number 3 to Jared Hurst and Nick McBride in P4. Declan Fu, Dean Koutsamides, Bruce Connolly, John Blanchard was driving his famous RF88. Andy Nethercutt out there as well, and Evan Farrell. So that was some form from this race last year.
If you remember back to this race last year, it was actually quite chaotic. There was a little bit of a tangle between John Miles and Nick McBride down at turn 1, and it resulted with McBride going from first or second back to that 4th place finish, like you said. Cars formed up on the grid now. Davison off pole on the left of your shot in the black car. Clifford on the right of shot in the minty coloured car, car 33, as the cars begin to form up and the yellow flags are withdrawn.
Ideal Formula Ford weather right now, kind of coolish air, a little bit of a breeze which will help them get up the back straight. Certainly won't help them down the front straight, but up the hill they'll have a little bit of a tailwind, and away we go at the front of the field. The mid-pack there was pretty urgent to get on with things as well, just trying to pick up one of those yellow cars. There's a lot of them down there. I'm tipping the one right in the middle of that group was very, very keen to get underway, but Jack Clifford has had a little bit of a disappointing start. It'll be Jared Hurst that has a bit of a look up there and tries to go through with it, and Nick McBride, Dean Koutsamides also in the Equity 1 car there pushing hard.
So Clifford got a poor start, goes back to P3. McBride immediately up to P2 following his LRE Motorsport teammate in Alexander Davison. Tabitha Ambrose lost a number of spots there. Declan Fu going for move on Warwick Folletta. Can't get that job done, but no doubt he'll be able to get it done up the back straight with a slightly more slipstreamed car as we go through the kink for the first time. Formula Ford in anger up the back straight, and there's a three-way battle for the lead. McBride's actually got this race lead already off of Alex Davison, so a charge through the field in the previous race has put him in a fantastic spot here, and he'll look to drive away from his fellow teammate.
Yeah, that is an amazing start, an amazing couple of races. He didn't take to the track yesterday. In fact, had other commitments away from the track. So right now, Nick McBride is finding his way right to the front of this race. Alex Davison would love to go with him here. These guys raced each other in Porsche Carrera Cup for a little while and will know each other very, very well, not only at the track but also away from the track. But they go on with it. Have a look at this. Andrew McGuinness right down the inside now there of Jared Hurst. Jared Hurst started out of P4. He'll find himself shuffled back to 5. And then Dean Koutsamidis appears right on the back of Jared Hurst there as well.
Tabitha Ambrose making her way up to P11. She's got Evan Farrell just behind her now. She got that move done into T1. Grant Walker up the back straight in the Swift. He's the only car running that specific model this weekend. We used to see Nick McBride running that, but he has parked that car and now has got an Australian spec FB89 move here for P2, and these guys have got to get on with it if they want to stick with McBride, your race leader in car number 4. Car number 3 of Alex Davison just behind, and then Jack Clifford looking menacing as they go through Dandy Road, turn number 9. 7 minutes to go on the clock.
So 3 different manufacturers being represented here in the podium positions at the moment, which is quite unusual. They're in this era, it was either the Swift or the Van Diemen, but this is a Reynard, and the Reynard 87F wasn't exactly that popular here in Australia. A couple of big names drove the Reynards, one of them being Paul Stokell in the Blue Banner Pickled Onions car.
Which is still around.
It's still around as well. I think it's had a resto job in recent time. Down the inside, Alex Davison says, "G'day, Nick. Catch you later." But let's see the great strategy run that Alex Davison had last time out. Let's see if he can pull that sort of stuff on Nick McBride.
So up the back chute we go. Davison takes over the race lead line from McBride and Clifford, who's been stuck in P3 for the majority of this race. A move round the outside. There goes McBride, retaking the race lead up to the top of the hill, and I think they're just going to keep doing this all race long.
I think, and I tell you what, it keeps you glued to the racing, doesn't it, when you know there's going to be another crack. And this is just Formula Ford, and you know these cars are from the late 80s, and you can rewind to the 70s, and you can fast forward to 2025. This is what the category does.
It's awesome racing, and these guys are setting the benchmark even further. Last time round, Davison did a 21.3 for the fastest lap of the race so far, and that is pretty quick considering the conditions this weekend.
I reckon Jack Clifford is doing a tremendous job here.
Oh, Tabitha Ambrose pulled over to driver's left, so that's a yellow flag sector and possibly even a safety car a bit later on the race, but we've gone to a green flag sector, and Clifford's trying to take advantage of that but can't get anything done to get to P2.
These two guys in front of Jack Clifford are they've been in Formula Ford, they've gone away and had a career, and they have returned. Jack Clifford is making his way in the motorsport world and would do well for a lap or two, Tom, to take some notes off these two guys in front. In fact, probably station himself there in position 3, and if something untoward happens, but have a little bit of a think for about 4.5 minutes time when we get near the end of this one.
Yeah, I think it's a good learning experience for him, although he really wants that first win in Historic Formula Ford, and he's going to try it now. He still can't get up the inside of Alex Davison, as Alex has a tow from his teammate in front, and that just makes it even tougher for your third place runner. Now, the front 2 cars in this shot are both on the new Hoosier compound, and this weekend we've gone to 2 different compounds, the harder Avon and the Hoosier compound for Formula Ford. By the time we get to the March event at Phillip Island, we will have a softer Avon. So there will be 3 options, and whatever tyre you qualify on, you have to race on that same tyre the whole weekend long. So a bit of different strategies between these teams.
Certainly going to be interesting. The Phillip Island surface is famous for its abrasive hot mix. So that might negate a soft tyre pretty quickly, because that might not work over an entire weekend. So it might be the harder of the Avons or the Hoosiers, but it is interesting. It has not been too often in the history of Formula Ford where there's been 2 tyre options, let alone 3 going forward. And I guess it's all about supply from Avon at the moment.
Well, the Avon hard compound will no doubt be phased out and people will start to buy new tyres over time, and whatever tyres better between the Hoosier and the Avon is most likely what people will stick with. And a move here on shot, Sean Turnbull further back in the field in car 66. He gets that move done for P13 over Craig Degatardi, and then we got car 35 just behind there of Warwick Folletta and the category administrator Phil Marinon in the only Galloway this weekend, running just behind these guys as they go up the back straight. The car in front of them, I believe, is Declan Fu, who has made his way through the field. No, sorry, that was Luke Warwick. He's made his way up to P10, Fu off the rear up to P9, who's already out of this shot.
Up the top of the hill they go, and this is a great battle mid-pack for this one. That's Degatardi, and driving by in that car, it's not sure what that chassis is. An Elfin 600, of course.
First change of the race lead.
Car.
First change of the race lead in a number of laps as Davison goes up the inside of his teammate McBride. Clifford still there in P3. Not sure if he's able to get a move done, or perhaps he's biding his time like you suggested before, but expect maybe another change by the time we get to the top of the hill. Most likely will happen. Jack Clifford set his fastest lap of the race last time by at a 20.9. These guys driving at a rapid pace with the fastest lap so far going to Alex Davison, your race leader at this current stage. And we go side by side over the top. Davison squeezing his teammate, but McBride holds tough around the outside, and something's gone wrong with that car. He had a suspension failure earlier on in the weekend, and he's pulled off to driver's right over the top. So an unfortunate charge through the field has come to an end for your race leader, Nick McBride, who withdraws and allows Clifford and Alex Davison, your race leader, to go at it.
Well, that was a turn up for the cars. Nick McBride's certainly been driving brilliantly right throughout today's racing. Didn't take any part in the race yesterday afternoon. Came from rear of grid this morning. And the update is that he has come to a grinding halt at the top of the hill. The yellow flags have been removed as we see Tabitha Ambrose parked up there as well as these cars charge up onto Warwick Folletta, I think it is, in that yellow
That's
car.
Sean Turnbull in that yellow car.
Yep, Sean getting through there in the Van Diemen RF86, travelling down from New South Wales for this. A couple of the interstaters, Matty Veal in there as well, and Craig Degatardi in the Elfin 600. I should have known that car. Of all of these cars, I should have known that one.
McBride pulls into the pits, so he's thankfully got his car out of the road, but a disappointing end to a tricky weekend for him.
Ooh, look at this.
Here comes the snake. Here comes a hungry Jack Clifford looking for his first Formula Ford historic race win as he goes all the way to driver's right, splashing in the puddles. Not sure he needs to be all the way out there as Davison reclaims that race lead, and these guys will battle all the way along. We should get a last lap board next time round. We've got 15 seconds remaining on the clock for you viewers at home who can't see the timing at the moment, but these two really going at it, showing just how good historic Formula Ford is and always has been.
Last lap board is now being presented by our officials at the start finish line. There it is, and you would have to say that Jack Clifford has either engineered himself into a supreme position to be just off the gearbox of Alex Davison leading this race. He's gone early on the straight, but Davison just ever so wily moves over. Gee, I tell you what, on the bumps, that air intake on the radar grabs your attention, doesn't it? Looks like it's about to come loose.
Very bumpy braking zone into turn one at the best of the times, and that is exaggerated there, but Clifford needs to hang just far enough back from the back of Alex Davison's car to get enough of a slingshot through the kink, and we'll see if he's close enough here. He definitely is to get a run. Now Davison, I expect, will stay on driver's left and look just ahead. We've got some lap cars of Chris O'Connor and Ben Rawson who may play a part in this race. As Clifford goes to the outside, he's looking over. He's cleared your first place runner of Alex Davison, who's been shuffled back to second over the top for the final time. Through the S's, he's got to cover because he made a mistake here in the previous race and gets that race lead, although he runs wide, beaches it on the curb, and Davison's got a huge run. He might send it round the outside at the final corner. We've got one more lap car to navigate through the final couple of corners. Is Davison around there? He's down the inside and he gets the move done, and Clifford can't get the momentum out of the final corner, so it will be all Alex Davison this weekend. 3 from 3 races in historic Formula Ford. Jack Clifford, a very close second. Andrew McGuinness will come across the line in third, just a ways back.
Wow, what a run there from Alex Davis, and return to historic Formula Ford racing. And, well, the Ellery Motorsport team have brought the broom out of the ute, and guess what they're doing? Giving it a clean sweep here this weekend. Equity 1, bringing us the Formula Ford racing. Let's have a look, Tom, as the cars continue to come across the line.
So we've got Andrew McGuinness running in third, Declan Fu fourth, Jared Hurst fifth, Will Faulkner sixth, Grant Walker, Evan Farrell, Luke Warwick, and Dean Koutsamidis. This is the move on the final corner of the race. Alex Davison holding tough around the outside, had to navigate that slower car, but that was all he had to navigate between he and the checkered flag for that short run.
There was absolutely nothing that Clifford could have done there. That was just experience, and using the Sandown layout, Alex would have done literally thousands of laps around this track in many different sorts of cars. But congratulations to all of the Formula Fords. I've got to say, the modern day runners in Formula Ford, I hope they've been watching this racing here this weekend, because we haven't damaged any equipment, where everyone's still pointing in the right direction, and the racing was intense. Absolutely intense. Andrew McGuinness home in third, and only just over Declan Fu, 0.2 of a second, the gap between those guys as Alex Davison comes into the lane. There'll be a trophy presentation for these guys as they make their way back into the pit lane. And of course, that is our final race for the Equity 1 Formula Fords here this weekend. Tom Reed, thank you very much, mate, for all of your time driving and working on cars and commentating. What can't you do, mate?
Can do everything, Darren.
You can. Confirmed. I've got life on a string. It's coming at me. Tom Reed, thank you very much, mate. We'll catch you, I reckon, a couple of weeks' time at Island Magic, yeah?
Sure thing.
Back
Sounds
on the
good.
microphone for that one, using his multi-talents. Up next is the group JK and LB, Formula V, and invited for their race 3 for the weekend. Back in a couple of moments.